before we get started, 71% of everybody here right now is not subscribed. So if you do enjoy this video or any of the ones that you might have seen here in the past, consider subscribing. It really does help me out. And let's get into today's video. I think the most important thing that you need to practice in this game are your meaties. And before we go any further, we get any more technical, let me define for you what that is. The most common definition of a meaty is an attack that hits the opponent on the very first frame possible after they rise from a knockdown. This guarantees that the opponent must either block the attack or immediately do an invincible move like a dragon punch. If they press any random button, they will be counter hit because their attack still has to go through its non-hitting startup, but your attack is already active on top of them. Learning how to time a meaty is extremely important to fighting game strategy, and you can often just beat beginners by meeting them over and over as they insist on attacking at all times. And that is borrowed from the fighting game glossary, which I will leave down in the description below. Now, what makes that so effective in Guilty Gear Strive? And I think it's because a lot of people are new. A lot of people are new to the genre, new to the game, and they just want to press. They just want to do damage, and they don't block on wake up, right? They're just going to eat your meaty attacks if you can time them. And since the damage is so high, if you land a counter hit on their wake up with a button that you can combo off of, you're going to get a ton of damage. So let me show you how to set up the bot so that we can practice it. What you're going to want to do is go to training settings, go to counter attack settings, and then scroll down to the one that says after recovery and set it to throw. Now, your opponent can do a lot of things on wake up, but I think throw is the fastest universally, right? A lot of people will either press like a very heavy button, right, because they want to do a lot of damage. They don't understand how startup frames work. They'll press their fastest button, so you might see Soul players use like 5K a lot, right? Because that's his fastest button. He has a 3-frame, which most of the other characters that you're going to play don't have 3 frames, but he does, so you'll see him mash that. You might see them mash like crouch jab or whatever they think is their fastest button, which is usually like the punch button, whether it's crouching or standing, 5 or 2. Or a button that might start a combo that they know, right? Newer players often know bread and butters, but they only know how to get into it off of like a single button. So for example, Giovanna's close slash there is a really good combo starter, so you might see them wake up with that if they're not a very experienced player. But the biggest thing that you'll get hit by if you mistime your meaties is throw. And that's because throw is 2 frames. It's the fastest move that every character has, right? It's 2 frames startup. So if you mistime your meaty, you are going to get thrown majority of the time, right? A viable strat that a lot of people like to use, I don't know if it's viable per se, but a strat that a lot of people like to use is just mashing throw on wake up, right? Because if you mistime your meaty or they realize that you're not timing your meaty correctly, they're just going to throw you every time to the point where you're getting frustrated and you don't understand why you're getting thrown. And then, they're in your head basically. And you're done trying to meaty them at that point because you realize that you don't know the timing. So that's why you need to practice it. And in other games, if you come from like Street Fighter V, for example, the meaty timing in this game is a little different, it feels like, because you have to sort of wait out those invul frames when the character is standing up a little more, and it just feels a little bit awkward if you're not used to it. So let me go ahead and show you what those settings that we set earlier actually do. So when I hit Kai here and he stands up, when he recovers, right, that's what we set, the recovery action, he's going to throw. So let's try and meaty him off from that throw, right? So you'll see there I got the meaty. And like I said, it's very effective because it's a counter hit for one, but if you optimize it and do something, that does the most damage on your character, right? That's what optimizing is you want to get the most damage out of each hit, and that's something you'll get into once you start learning your character more. But once you get to that point, scoring those counter hits can be very deadly, right? I'll show you a very good counter hit combo here on Giovanna. And then if I want to, I can go into super or something, right? But off of one meaty, right, off of him screwing up once, I was able to get that much damage. And that can mean death at like half HP, right? Now, let's say you're having a little bit of trouble getting that meaty timing down. What can help you, and what you probably saw me do there a little bit, was dash, right? If you knock them down and then you dash afterwards, that momentum can help you meaty a little bit better. And then once you get good at doing it off of like a sweep, try and do it off of like just a basic combo that gives you Oki, right? And Oki just means that it gives you the ability to hit the character while they're rising. Some combos like this one will not give you that, right? Because see how fast he recovers? I know I missed that third hit, but if you get the third hit, it still is the same thing, right? You don't really get Oki off of it. Also, along with dashing to meaty, dashing to throw can also help you out a little bit too if you're having trouble like either getting into range or just getting the throw to hit. Doing it while you're dashing can help. And that sort of brings me into the last topic is, even though I have him set to throw, not everybody is going to throw, right? So sometimes you want to throw them. Your meaty will be throwing them, right? You want to mix that into your game plan if they're blocking your meaty button every single time. And there's multiple meaty buttons for different characters. There's meaty setups, right? There's characters like Millia who can throw the tandem top over you, and that's a meaty setup. And some characters like Giovanna, I just use a button, right? There's meaty buttons, and then there's meaty setups. But those are things that you'll have to learn on your character. This is just really a video telling you where to start and like trying to get you started. I just want to sort of plant that seed in your head, put that idea in your head that hitting your opponent on wake up is a very powerful option in this game that'll get you way further than you think, because obviously people don't like to block on wake up at the lower levels, not because it's not a good option, but because they just don't know yet, right? So this will give you a good leg up on the competition. And if you're looking for meaty buttons or meaty setups for your character specifically, remember that, YouTube is a very powerful tool, right? You can look those things up. Look up a guide for your character, watch it, figure that stuff out, look through all the Google Docs and all the Discords, whatever it may be, find your answer, I have only really messed around with my character, so I don't feel comfortable with trying to tell you how to play yours yet. That's really the goal of these guides, is to sort of give you a general idea of a concept, and then you can take that and run with it with your character or your game, whatever it may be. That's going to be it for me today. I hope you guys enjoyed. Consider subscribing, and I'll talk to you again tomorrow.